Welcome to Awesome Comics, your one-stop shop for everything comic book entertainment. I'm your host, Walter Benaziac, and today we're talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and if it's better or worse than Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And we have a great panel. Before I get to the panel, let's talk about the Facebook page, because this is very serious. Facebook.com/AwesomeComicsShow, guys. Every single Thursday, we have exclusive videos that go up on there. We had 2 this past week.
We did!
So you want some bonus content? I think you should go ahead and like that Facebook page. Okay, let's introduce the panel for today. We'll go to the right first. On my right, far right, it's Heather Roos. What's going on, Heather?
Yeah, hi. I'm excited to talk about Rogue One, and I'm also super excited about these sweaters that I had made us.
I made some sweaters, guys.
They're amazing. I have little puffball pokeballs.
I actually went ahead and made a tutorial, so if you guys want to make your very own ugly geek sweaters, they turn out kind of less ugly and more awesome. So if you want to make your own, go ahead and like our Facebook page, and I'll make sure to share a link or video to all of that stuff that I did. So that should be really fun.
Yes, and that's Ayanna Wade who was just talking about.
That's me, guys.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
It's on my shoulder
love
pads.
the
I'm
Stranger
really
Things
excited about
thing
it.
going on.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's like an
It's very
80s
80s.
vibe.
Very 80s.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Barb. Where's Barb?
And my pal, your pal, Mr. Brian Porter.
I got this awesome sweater
Yes.
from Ayana. Serenity. It's awesome. It's got Wash's dinosaurs.
You love the dinosaurs.
It's
I'm so
fantastic.
glad.
It's
I
like
almost didn't
my
include
favorite
them.
part of the sweater. is
Good.
You got the dinosaurs.
It's great stuff. And mine, I mean, it's always morphin' time when I'm wearing this thing.
It's like Mighty Morphin Kiss, though, right here. That's what it looks like, right?
It's totally
It's
fine.
like,
It's totally fine.
yeah.
Zach doesn't mind, or Adam. I mean, the Power Rangers fans know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's get into Star Wars, because that's what we wanted to talk about
Yes.
today. Before we get into the comparison to Force Awakens, I wanted to talk about Rogue One, just our impressions of it. I'll give you a spoiler warning before we get into spoilers. Not talking about spoilers quite yet. So, Porter, what did you think of Rogue One, a Star Wars story?
It was awesome. Like I was excited to see it, and I thought it was gonna be good, but I wasn't like super excited, and I didn't think it was gonna be super good. It blew me away on how freaking fantastic it was. It was way better than I expected, and the movie was quick. It flowed awesome, and like I loved it. I thought it was great. It was just a huge shock at how amazingly good it was.
Okay.
Like it was.
So you weren't
fantastic.
expecting it to be great?
Yeah, I
what
wasn't
were you expecting going into it?
I was just expecting a good, kind of solid movie. But I didn't think, not being a regular Star Wars film, they'd never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
It was kind of like reserved. And I was like, oh, it could be cool, but this is not exactly Star Wars. We'll see what happens. Blew me out of the water. I was like pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
It was great.
All right. Heather and Ayana, what did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with Porter. I thought it was a great movie. I wasn't quite sure what to expect going in as well because, yeah, like same thing. It was never been done before, and The Force Awakens was so good. I was like, okay, is this gonna top it? How's it gonna gel into the universe? But I was pleasantly surprised, especially by the visuals.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
Visually
the visuals in this movie
breathtaking.
are amazing.
Yeah, I
and they
agree.
even have some callbacks to some of the original concept art from the
yeah.
original Star Wars. Oh, blew me away with the visuals.
I know
So
that
I loved that.
they used some of the original costumes from A New Hope, like from the 70s.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
The original costumes
That's
back in
crazy.
this movie. Like, yeah.
And then the things that they added on, I loved it, by the way. Hi. I absolutely loved it. I was sitting there, like, jaw to the floor most of the film. Like, it was really great. Especially, the beginning was a little slow for me, personally, but then it picked up and was really, like, action-packed and stuff, and it was really, really incredible to, like, see all these characters on the big screen. It was awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of throwbacks, but especially the costuming. They really made this world feel like it fits like a puzzle piece right before A New Hope. Like they really did a good job. Even just the like hairstyles and facial hair of everyone felt very, very much like the same era.
Definitely.
It felt like having Jyn in the costume she wears. It's very like utilitarian and not ultra like feminine. I kind of love it. It's like serves a purpose. We didn't need to put her in these like giant queen-like robes, which do not get me wrong, I love Padme's wardrobe, but it wouldn't make sense for this character. And so she even fit, and it was nice to see some other female, like small background characters, like some of the pilots and stuff, like, oh, the women fly, who knew? What? You could have two Asians in the main like cast and not have to talk about it. That's nuts. So it was really cool to see some like people of color, to see some women in the cast. I really loved like the good mix of characters, including like there's some really cool alien rebels in this that were really cool that like don't even talk English. They're just like.
Well, that little dude
The
with
little
the huge
dude.
mouth.
He's
Yeah,
like,
I don't know, you can't really see it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That guy
I was
so
freaking out about
funny.
him.
Yeah.
He was great. And we see it, you know, like he's not a main character by any means, but you know, just like we get a little bit of everything in this. It was really cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was expecting a lot more character development, I would say, or like story arcs were a little bit of a letdown, personally, overall.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Without spoilers, but yeah.
Right. I feel like they just couldn't quite fit it all in. So the cast was a bit bloated. Like, I feel like there was too many main characters, but it also didn't really matter because it wasn't about the characters.
Right.
It felt more like a military procedural drama or an espionage spy film than it did a Star Wars film.
I felt like it was a war epic. It was
Right.
a war epic almost mixed with like a heist movie. You know, they're all fighting for this cause, and we kind of get to see like a different side to the rebels. We usually see them as like putting them on a pedestal and being like they're the best, the goodest of the good. Yeah, that's right.
Goodest.
Goodest.
Oh.
But you know what I'm saying? Like they're like so knight in shining armor type of people, and then in this we get to see them like in the nitty gritty, which a couple times went a little far. I was like, really? Like, at what cost are you gonna fight for this? Okay, but you know we get some of that. Like hints of that in the original ones, I would say, when they talk about it, but we don't really see it. In this one, we really get to see it, and then the whole like heist of having to like go get some stuff. I don't want to give away too many spoilers
I
in my
know.
overall
Right.
thing. but-
Right.
Let's get into spoilers now. This is your spoiler warning. If you've not seen Rogue One, a Star Wars story yet, recommendation
We'll see you
from all
later.
of us,
Bye.
go
See
see
it
the
in
movie.
Absolutely.
theaters. See it in
Absolutely.
theaters.
Yes,
'cause
definitely
you
see it in
have to see
theaters.
the visuals.
I
in
agree,
theaters.
Yeah.
100%. Let's get into the nitty gritty here. Is Rogue One, a Star Wars story, better than Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens? Which is better? Which one is a little bit stronger? Which one is a little bit weaker? Heather, what do you think?
Okay, so Porter and I were saying this earlier. They're two very, very different movies.
For sure.
It's kind of like comparing apples and oranges, but if we must.
And we
if
must.
we
And we
must.
must.
We must.
I
I want to pick
preferred
one for you, Porter.
I preferred Rogue One
Yeah.
a little bit. I enjoy war dramas and war stories, so I feel like maybe that's a part of what drew me more into Rogue One rather than The Force Awakens. It's not a huge difference. They're both great movies, but I felt like Rogue One drew me in a little bit, and maybe it's because there was a certain element to Rogue One where I felt like it was geared more towards an adult audience, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
That of The Force Awakens is more geared towards a family child movie, so to speak, even though it's PG-13, but that's a whole nother discussion. But I still felt very drawn into Rogue One. I would live in that world if I could of Rogue One. Everything was, the sets and the visuals and the feel of it made me just want to stay there and live there. And I did really, really, really love the ending of Rogue One. I loved that they all died. That's just war, that's just life.
Sure, right.
And even though I do feel as though The Force Awakens has stronger characters, but I didn't feel like that was necessary for Rogue One because it wasn't about the characters, it was about the mission.
Right,
So
yeah.
whether or not the characters were strong didn't have that big of an impact for me. I was super sucked into the story even though I wasn't sucked into the characters, if that makes sense.
I gotcha.
So that made me prefer Rogue One over
Okay,
The
so we
Force
got one
Awakens.
vote for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Anna, what's
Oh
your
my
vote?
God, we disagree for once. What? Like barely, man. These two are so close in my book, but again, we must decide. And just by the slimmest of margins, I prefer Force Awakens. I really do. Rogue One was excellent, and there was this great thing about seeing it and having all these like little like kind of like nods to the other films.
Yeah, or
and
to
little-
Rebels or
like,
Clone Wars that were thrown in there.
Like even just having like Gold Squadron and Red Squadron in there, I was like, oh my God, I have to go home and watch New Hope, and I did because it sort of refreshed my love of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was one of those like, oh man, this is super nostalgic, and I can't even say it's that nostalgic since I didn't get to go see the originals in theaters, but I feel like by seeing this, I almost feel like I was a part of it, and it was a really cool feeling that the other ones didn't give me. But the rest of it, not as much. Like the character development, like I was saying before, the story arcs aren't all there. Some of the characters were there just and didn't have their intentions clear, and then when they made them clear, I was like, well, maybe like show and don't tell. Whereas I felt like with Force Awakens, even though there's a lot left in the air still with Rey, and we weren't told her whole story, it felt like an origin story for Rey, and some of the things, like I would say almost A New Hope maybe gave us as much information about Luke when that one started. Maybe they fleshed him out a little bit more about his parents, but I think because Force Awakens sort of started this, and then now we're gonna see more, whereas Rogue One, they started this and we're done with it, and I have so many questions. It left a lot open-ended, and not necessarily in a good way, but...
See, I didn't mind having questions, not answers.
Sure.
I didn't mind that. I felt like it didn't detract from anything.
Feel
because
like
it wasn't about the characters.
I don't feel like it was making you ask the questions like, oh, what about this? It was like, wait, no, you didn't explain this. Wait, no, go back. That's in my opinion. So I just, by the slimmest of margins, prefer Force Awakens.
Okay,
yeah.
that's one vote for Star Wars, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And then Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens, Porter. You gotta pick one, dude.
I'm not choosing.
I will
I'm not
cut
choosing.
you from this episode.
Porter
I will
doesn't
cut
know
you
how to follow
from this
rules.
episode. I will siege
I'm a
your
rebel.
face out
Come to my
and put in
side.
Rob or Doug. You need to pick an episode
Search yourself,
right now.
you know it to be true.
Pick a
Okay.
movie.
They're
No,
so
Rogue One is
different.
better.
I mean,
They are.
it
They're
says
so
it
different.
says
They are
it in the
different.
title of Rogue One,
So
a Star
different.
Wars story. This is a story. This is something that has a beginning, middle, and end. Whereas the rest of the Star Wars are always these epics, you know, three-part, trilogies.
Definitely.
And so, like, this one felt more contained, and it was a more complete story. So that has something like over the Force Awakens because there's a shit ton of questions from the Force Awakens.
Definitely.
But and then the Force Awakens has like all these great characters, but so does Rogue One. I have a hard time picking because they're different types of movies. It's like how
Absolutely.
can
They
you
are
pick?
totally different types of movies.
And
They
I
are
loved
Star
both
Wars
of them.
movies.
Yeah.
I loved both of them. They both have these qualities that they're just different from each other, but they work for me so well. Like the
Agreed.
characters, I love the characters in Force Awakens, but I also really love the characters in Rogue One, especially Donnie Yen's character, the blind guy. Like,
Oh my
In a
God,
way,
hilarious.
yeah.
he was so funny.
Are you
and
kidding me?
I'm blind. I was dying, but
Yeah, the whole
I just-
theater was cracking up.
I loved his I am one with the Force, the Force is with me. I am the one.
That was cool.
That was so good, and
His
it's
little
like,
mantra.
is he Force sensitive? Like,
Yeah.
He's Force
he
sensitive.
definitely
He's
is.
not a
Yes,
Jedi.
definitely.
That's
Like-
another thing that's great about this movie, though, is it doesn't follow Jedi. We kind of get
Yeah.
a little bit of a break from the whole like, yeah, but I got magical
that's
powers.
what's cool. That's what's cool
Right,
about the
right.
standalone stories.
Absolutely, I love that we can see other people that
I
are
agree.
just like
Totally agree.
rogues and tramps.
So I mean, I honestly can't pick. I can't pick. I like them both for different reasons.
Right. Which
Rogue
one do you
One.
like better,
Oh,
though?
sorry.
Which one would I rather watch?
I mean, this is
More-
going to change. I'm not. This is an initial thing. I'm not saying you have to hold this for the rest of your life.
Right.
Opinions change. Things are going to change as
For
we,
the
as
sake
8 and 9
of this
come out.
Yes.
ridiculous witch hunt,
Excuse me, I take that personally.
I choose Force Awakens.
Ah, Porter!
Episode
You
7.
let me
The
down.
Force Awakens gets another point.
But
it's
it's
2-1.
really they're the same to me. But I have to pick something. But they're
Yes.
the same to me. They're different movies. And I
Okay.
like them both equally. I have to pick these.
because that's the rules of the game.
Right, right.
There
Well,
seems
no.
to be a disturbance in your force.
There it is. Well, I think one of the things I liked about Rogue One too is that it was different. It's
Absolutely.
unique. The Force Awakens is great, but it's also
Oh my God! Poster's falling down.
Calm down. It's gonna be okay.
powers.
Just put it up here. Go ahead, keep going.
Porter's
Okay.
witch powers.
So I liked
Yeah.
the originality of.
Force powers.
Yeah,
what are
right.
you talking about?
I liked the originality of Rogue One. I love The Force Awakens, but it's kind of a rehashing of A New Hope. And this was
And
something.
Empire a little
Yes,
bit.
yes. So this
Sure.
was something unique and different, and it's nice and fresh to see something different in the Star Wars universe that isn't just a rehashing of
Isn't just a
New
Skywalker
Hope.
story.
I agree,
Exactly,
yeah.
a Skywalker story. I like that.
This is what I'm saying though. Like this is why I'm so excited about Rogue One, because there's so many great characters in the Star Wars universe and the expanded universe, which I know is not canon, but they're still using those characters. I mean, and Thrawn is in Rebels now and everything. So I mean, that's really cool. They could bring in different characters. So we can have different movies with these side characters that we see in video games, in other stories, in books and comics,
yeah.
that we can see them have their own movie. I want a Dash Rendar movie, bro. Okay, from Shadows of the Empire for N64. That game is freaking awesome, and he is a great character, and I would love to see a movie based off
Who's
of
your
him.
cast?
I don't ask me that right now. I gotta
Okay,
think
sorry.
about it. Me, I want to be Dash Rendar. Let me buff up, and I'll do it. I swear to God, I'll do it.
You got a Kylo thing going on.
I do,
though,
but that I love Kylo Ren. But we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I want to see a movie from him. I want to see like there's a bunch of different other characters you can go off of and make a movie from. Kyle Katarn from the Dark Forces games, Jedi Knight, the computer games. Yeah, he's a great character. He has a golden freaking lightsaber. Can we see that? I mean, even like a Yoda like movie, I would love to see something like that. And it would be so far away from these other movies because he's how many 900 years old?
Yeah.
And at the end of Return of the Jedi, that you could totally remove it from these other movies. So Force Awakens or Rogue One, the Star Wars story. I rewatched Force Awakens last night.
Me too.
Yeah, and I saw Rogue One on Thursday night. With Porter here. So, and after weighing it, at first I was like, I think I like Rogue One better. And then I started watching Force Awakens, and I connect with those characters so much more that I have to say Force Awakens right now. I mean, that could change. Things could get better or worse as 8 and 9 come out. But as of this moment, initial reaction, I love Rogue One. I love what they did with it, how different it is. And I actually like Jin's backstory and everything. I thought it was super smart that her father put in the little the exhaust.
Fail-safe.
The
Yes.
fail-safe.
Thanks
that's
for
the one thing-
explaining.
I love
Yeah.
that.
People
Whenever it's like,
always
oh, that
complain about
button,
that.
who puts that
So
in?
now
I'll
that-
tell you who.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that that has been rectified and everything, people can stop freaking complaining about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I liked it for that, and I liked it for all these characters. I actually
Yeah.
liked the characters, even if they didn't have the best backstories.
Agreed.
Still like them.
I think they were
But
really cool.
They had a lot of
Yeah.
heart
Right.
to them.
Oh,
Right.
for
And
sure.
Even
Oh
though they
my
didn't have a
God.
big backstory, but we felt the heart of each character and
I
the
agree.
motivation.
Jin
100%.
not
And they were
being
fleshed out
any
enough for the story.
Damsel in distressness.
Yeah.
I
did
love
like-
it so
Yes.
I
much.
think Ray is the same way.
Even-
though.
Yeah, but
Ray-
she does get herself
has-
captured.
But she's a little
and,
too
you
strong, I
know.
think, at first.
Okay,
Yeah.
see,
But
exactly.
that's
So
one
there's
of the
things
problems
with
with Force
Ray.
Awakens.
People have problems with Ray.
I just
Jin,
like that
though, no damsel in
wasn't
distress.
there
No.
wasn't a
Sure.
romantic
She gets-
element to
yes.
this movie.
They
There's
tried
a-
Right.
like a little thing at the
At
end.
the very end,
Right.
I don't think
it
it was
was-
like we're about to die.
I don't
Right.
think that was
Yeah.
romance. It was
Agreed.
I
like,
don't
hey,
think- agreed.
we went through this big thing together. We succeeded. We're about to die. Let's have some human contact. in the
Yeah.
last
Right.
moments
Right.
of
It
our
was
life.
more like
That's
a
it.
bond forged
Yeah.
in fire.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we're about to die.
Definitely.
Let's
Yeah.
die
Fire
as
in
humans
blood.
together.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that
Even the one
was
time
not
she does
romantic
get
to me.
rescued, she just starts knocking people out.
Yeah,
It's great.
definitely.
I love her so
It's
much.
great. But yeah, I connect with the Star Wars Force Awakens characters just a little bit more. I love Kylo Ren, and I want to see where his story goes. I think it's such an interesting reverse of the story of
More
like.
whiny protagonist.
He's even. I mean, he's not. He's whiny, but he's like. It seems like he's got a reason to be the way he is.
Does he?
I mean,
He's
so
not
Yeah.
spoiled.
he's so confused and conflicted. I love that there's an element to him that is like sort of the reverse of Darth Vader, where you didn't see his inner struggle, and he's being pulled to the light.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren is so hard trying to hold on to the darkness.
Yeah.
He's realizing that he's being pulled to the light, and he's actively pushing away
Yep.
from it. And that's what I love about Kylo Ren. And I hope he doesn't turn back to the light. I hope he just totally goes dark, and we see him progress further and further down that black hole of the dark side. So that Kylo Ren love, and I love the Han Solo death. I mean, you can't really top. That's a huge moment. And in terms of emotion,
yes.
there's some emotional moments in this, but I mean that got to everybody. I think.
I was dressed up as Han Solo, and I was like, "It's my fault. I'm so sorry."
You
Right.
jinxed it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, of course you're gonna relate more to the characters in The Force Awakens because they're setting it up for a trilogy. Like
Yeah.
they want you to like
Sure.
those characters
Right.
because you're gonna be with them for a whole nother set of movies.
Right. I mean, but
they
I
didn't
like
have
Finn,
that
I like
opportunity with
Rey.
Rogue One.
Again,
you know?
to
they're
consider-
They still had the same amount of time to build up certain characters, whether you're looking forward to what happens
Right.
to them or not. If Force Awakens was if we knew it was just a standalone movie, I mean, it wouldn't make sense because they're obviously setting up for more
Right,
stuff.
right.
But I mean, we got enough where we saw the stuff with Kylo Ren, we got the little
Mm-hmm.
flashback with Rey and everything, and it's so interesting to see what's going to happen with her. Finn, I don't love Finn like everybody does, but I really like
like Finn
Finn.
a
I still really like him. I just don't
like
Finn
love
with
Finn.
Poe.
I was gonna say,
Oh
I
my
like the
gosh.
bromance.
Yes.
I do like Poe though. Poe's really cool.
love
Yeah,
Poe.
Poe's funny as hell.
Yeah,
I love
Poe's
BB-8.
really cool. That's what I'm saying. And I just
Right.
think I connected with more of those characters and I cared more about them, not just because they were Skywalkers or whatever Rey is supposed to be or anything, because I
Right.
liked them and I liked their stories.
Rey's also very likable. Apparently, some of the reshoots they did was because Jyn wasn't as likable.
That makes
and
sense.
so, because she was,
I think that's okay though.
that
I
they
mean-
had to make her more
She's
likable.
darker.
No, the fact that
Yeah.
she wasn't likable, I feel
Well,
like
they
they didn't need to
fixed it.
reshoot
Right.
that.
She
agree.
doesn't. She
You
doesn't
know,
need
She
to
doesn't
be.
need
She's
to
a
be that
badass.
likable.
She's, you know, she had a shit life and she was raised by Saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Who didn't have as
for
big
her
as
to
a role
come
as I
out
thought he was going
like
to.
as
Yeah.
good as she
But-
did when raised by Saw, like I'd
Right.
say it's pretty good.
I
So
know.
mean, I get it. She doesn't have to be likable. She's,
Definitely.
she's a
And
badass.
She would be
Agreed.
selfish.
All right, we got to wrap this one up, guys.
All
We're
right.
going way over time. But anyway.
Check
so-
Facebook because some of
so-
this might be going on there.
Right. So, what did you think of Star Wars or Rogue One, a Star Wars story? I keep mixing that up. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Did you like it? Did you think it was okay? Because I know a lot of people thought it was just okay. I thought it was much better than okay.
Loved it.
So yeah, Force Awakens, Rogue One. What do you like better? Let us know in the comments below. Keep a lookout
Support
for
me.
support Heather.
Oh,
Team
someone,
Rogue, hashtag Team
please.
Rogue One.
Everyone's going to be on your page.
Keep a lookout for Ayana's little tutorial about the stuff that she made for us. which is great.
Sweaters, just in time for the holidays. And there's some blue and white Hanukkah. It doesn't have to be Christmas. I made them all different colors.
Whatever you, the
Maybe you're
Festivus,
just an
whatever
80s
you
enthusiast.
celebrate.
Ladies and things.
Anything you want. So thank you for making those. Go ahead and check that out when she puts it up. Where can we find you guys on social media? Very quickly, Heather.
You can find me on Twitter at Heather Roos or Instagram at HRoos.
Ayana.
I am on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. I'm all over, guys. Come and find me.
Poda.
Facebook.com/awesomeporter and Twitter porkchop0289.
All right, cool. And I am Walter Bernasiak. You can find me on Twitter at awesome_Walter. And make sure you like the Facebook page for Awesome Comics, facebook.com/awesomecomicshow. So, until next week, we got something very special for you guys. It's, I would say, it's another Snydering episode. So get excited for that. So, Merry Christmas,
stoked.
Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, whatever you celebrate.
Winter solstice.
Celebrate it together.
Yeah.
Because we all love you. So, may the force be with you, I think. That's a- that's a
Yeah,
good
and
thing to
also
go
with
off on.
you.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll see you on the next page. Goodbye, everybody.